Hello, stats students. So this is the introductory video to SPSS. It don't get no more basic than this, folks. So I'm just going to show you how to put in some of the values and run some basic analyses. I've recorded the screen here in such a way that I hope you can have it open on one side of your computer and be running SPSS on the other side so you can just follow along. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to pause it while I put in some data. All right, let's assume that this data here reflect that this first column is indicating gender, where 1 is equal to male and a 2 is equal to female. And this next column is equal to the GPA. And right now we're looking at the data view. And in order to label these values, we're going to switch to the variable view. And let's go ahead and do that. So here in the variable view, I'm going to call this first variable gender. And this next variable I'm going to call GPA. And just a word to the wise, if you type in something like grade point, in other words, trying to apply a name that has separate words, it won't take it. So it has to be contiguous letters. So like GPA would work. All right, if I go back to data view down here, you can see now how I have the labels or the variable names for these two variables that I'm dealing with, gender and GPA. Now, let's fix two other things. So the data came to us in a way that didn't have decimal places, let's say, or had 0 here and 1 here. So I'm going to change gender to 0 decimal places and GPA to 1. So that's decimals for these two variables. And now that looks like the data that came to me. And I can adjust a few other things here. So values is something I can set for a qualitative variable. So in this case, I'm thinking about gender, where a value of 1, I want to have the label as male, and a value of 2, I want to have the value of female. I have to hit add after each of those, so it goes down in the box, and once I have everything that defines the values of those variables there, I hit OK, and it'll now indicate what those values are for the different levels of gender. You won't see male and female in here yet, but you'll see it when we run some analyses and get some output. So let me just highlight again the things that you're going to want to do in the variable view. You are going to want to name your variables, specify the decimals, and then come over here and indicate what the values are. So indicate what the values are. Now, I don't have to do that for GPA because GPA is a quantitative variable. And the values that I get, if you look at the data here, the 3.4, 2.3, 2.3, that's exactly what I want. I don't need to label those. It's only when the number is standing in for a value, like male and female, that I need to number them or need to label the numbers. All right, so let me just run two basic analyses that you can do. I'm going to go up to Analyze. You can do Descriptives, Frequencies. And what I'm going to do here is pull over gender and GPA. And I'm going to request some statistics on these. So I'm going to request the mean, median, and the mode, and also standard deviation. And so now when I run that, it's going to produce those as well. So I'm going to hit OK. All right, and you can see here, I have the output here on my right and kind of a table of context over here on my left. Well, if you have a lot of output, you can use this table of context content to kind of run up and down and jump to different areas. We're not going to use it today, so I'm just going to move this over so I have a little more space. Okay, so the first thing I get is those statistics I asked for the frequencies that go with the frequency analysis. So you see here I have mean, median, and mode, and I've got the mean, median, and mode for both gender and GPA. Now you should realize that getting that for getting the mean, median, the mode for gender, which is a qualitative variable, is kind of nonsense. So I wouldn't want to take these as accurate values, but for GPA they work. So these are since that's a quantitative variable, these are all the quantitative ways that we can look at it. Okay, and then the analysis was frequency, so the main thing I get are these two frequency tables. The first one's for gender, and it's just showing the number of males. I have 3, and the number of females and how many I have of those, and then the percentages and the cumulative percent, which just adds up as I go. Then down below here I have another frequency table for GPA. Again, these are just the scores that I get, that I observed. Frequency is how many times they occurred. Percent is the percent of times they occurred. We're never going to see a difference between percent and valid percent. That has to do with missing data, which I'm not going to deal with. But then over here you have cumulative percent, which you should understand. And all that's saying is how many people had a GPA of 3.7 or below. Well, for that, I would use this cumulative percent of 83.3 and below. In other words, 3.7 GPA, 83.3% of people have that or below. And then if I bump up to 3.9, that captures 100% of people have that score or below. That's how the cumulative percent works. Okay, that was one simple analysis I could do. I'm looking at the output screen right now. I can still run analyses from here. I can just go up to analyze descriptives and then something else. But I just want you to know you can always jump back to your data view and have the variable view. So there's really these 3 screens that you're moving between or among. So, and I actually have an extra data set open. But you've got your data and your output screen, and you can switch between those two. Okay, so I'm going to go up to analyze. Before I went descriptives frequencies. Now I'm going to go descriptive descriptives. And I'm going to move both of these over here for the variables. I'm going to check on options. I don't need anything there. I'm going to hit OK. And all right, it provides the descriptive statistics here for gender and GPA. You'll notice the frequencies analysis gave me this statistics table. It's organized differently. Here I've got the variables going across the top, and here I got the variables going down the left side. And it's just depending on the way you want it organized, you can get the same information or virtually the same information both ways. This gives you the min and the max and some other stuff. All right, so that's just a quick introduction to putting in a data set, typing it in. Just to review here, I typed in this data, then I went to the variable view to name the variables, set the decimals, come over here and where am I? Took the values and stated the meaning of those levels, and I ran my analyses. So that's just a quick introduction to using SPSS. Okay, thanks.